Let's talk about it. 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 Let's talk about it.
What's up, Facebook? It's Talk About It Tuesday. The last Talk About It of the season until we fire back up next spring. We brought in a ringer for today. We brought in Jared Dean from SGI. Jared, thanks for joining us today.
Absolutely. Glad to be here, man. Thank you.
Hey, no problem. I failed to tell Jared the dress code is Huskers and Chiefs only, and he's rocking a Clinton Portis jersey.
Come on.
I thought we were gonna have to reschedule, but we'll let it slide this time.
You can block it out.
Yeah, just cover that part up. Well, hey, like I said, thanks for joining us. We're excited to have you. For the audience out there, tell us a little bit about your past and what kind of led you to SGI.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I grew up in contracting, so I started in the HVAC business when I was 12 years old. I was a bored kid, didn't want to sit at a babysitter's all summer long. And a guy in my church said, "Hey, man, my son needs a helper. Do you want to come help us?" And for $50 a week, roundabouts there, somewhat kind of what was left over for the week. I'd work from 6 a.m. till 10 p.m. His son was a workaholic, still is. I still know him to this day. And he'd pick me up, wear me out all week long, sometimes into the weekend, and I just absolutely loved it. So I bought that company when I was about 23, failed forward for a couple years trying to figure it out. We did good work. We were priced pretty decent. I loved my guys. I loved having nice trucks with a nice logo on them. Like a lot of that stuff was half decent. But I had no idea what being a business owner was. I owned a business, but I in no way was a business owner. So it's kind of like going out and buying a Corvette. It doesn't make you a race car driver. You're paying the pavement, but you might not even know how to drive real well, right? So got this phone call, and it was a guy on the other line talking about going to what they call a profit day, and I was like, man, this sounds like a racket, but I knew I needed help. So, I look back at that day and I kind of go, man, most days I would go, no, thank you. You get a salesperson on the phone. And this profit day was on April 1st, April Fool's Day, 2004. And I went and met with these people, and they had a little presentation that they put together. And as they talked, I realized they knew more about my business than I did, and they'd never even walked in the doors of my business. So I joined that day. That was that was almost 15 years ago, and totally changed the trajectory of my life in general. I knew what a P&L was. I knew what a balance sheet was. I knew how to train my guys. I knew how to answer the phone, how much to charge for this and that, and how to talk to the customer, and it changed everything. So we ended up with that one business. We ended up with 4 businesses and did very, very well, and have always kept in touch with SGI, and got out of business 4 or 5 years ago and pursued just being in the ministry. Honestly, I'm starting a church here in Charleston, South Carolina, where I live with a buddy of mine. It's always been on my heart. And so when we started to move this direction, I called up the owner, Rebecca of SGI, and said, "Hey, man, I would love to pour back into people like you guys did to me back in the day. I've always loved helping other business owners and always loved digging into their business. And just if I can, even if it's just once a year, if I can turn on a switch in somebody's brain to where they go, oh my gosh, got it. It's all up to me. Like I have to go back and do this, and I have to make that hard decision, or I have to have that hard conversation, or whatever it is in their business, and I can make that happen for somebody. It lights me up. So I've been with SGI as a client now, as an employee now since May a year and a half ago, and it's been really good. So yep, that's the in a nutshell version.
That's awesome. And we can't say enough good things here at Companycam about SGI. The partnership that we have with you guys has been great, and just what you guys bring to contractors. Yeah. For those that may be, unfamiliar with SGI, tell us just the quick elevator pitch. What is SGI? What's kind of, the overall goal? Like I go to one of those profit days like you spoke about, and then what are you guys doing for contractors?
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just take it almost chronologically. We're almost 20-year-old company that has a couple decades of business information before that 20 years. So about 40 years of information that we've been compiling on, what the right numbers are for a company. What should my material percentage be for me to be profitable? What should my labor percentage as a total percentage of the job to be profitable? So, and how should I train my guys, and how should I pay my guys, and what's fair and what is unfair, and what kind of policies do I need, and what kind of procedures? So if you were to go to a profit day, you'd sit there and you'd listen, and you'd probably have an experience like I did, where you go, man, dude, did you let them in the doors like a couple nights ago when I wasn't at the office? And you just go, how in the world do they know so much about me? But it's just because we've got so many years in service contracting. So what you would experience from that is whether you join or not, basically, like any type of presentation. And then we have these classroom setting high level view called executive perspective. They're held in Dallas about 10 times a year, and you would come down with a couple of your executive team members, so to speak, or just yourself if you're the only executive team member.
Right.
And you would get a high level view for about 4 days of marketing, financials, training, how to run a service call, how to be priced, insurance, just so many different high-level views. Obviously, you're not going to learn everything in 4 days, but that's going to give you a really good overview of all the systems and procedures. And we would almost say it's like buying, a McDonald's. When the dinger goes off, take the fries out, right? So it's about as complete a system you can get for the service, repair, and replacement of a trade like electrical or plumbing, heating and air, or roofing. We have 4 different groups, and so what you would be joining, so to speak, would be all of that training, which is at no extra charge to come to EP. We also have a training arm that teaches soft skills, call taking, how to present to a homeowner, budgeting type classes, etc. And then we have a partner network, which you know very well about, of about 120 partners that we have kind of collected over the last several years and gone, hey, we've got 900 contractors in our group. We'd love to let you have access to them, but first let us make sure you're a great company to serve our members well. And so, as you guys probably know, the vetting process for bringing on a vendor partner isn't just, hey man, 900 contractors, you want their phone numbers. I mean, we literally bring them in, and Kevin, who's been running that for years, Kevin does a really good job of making sure that any of our vendor partners are good for our members. So there's so many different ways. We have a lot of training that's on video on what we call the hub. And so there's literally days and days and days of video from past events, training series, weekly calls, etc., that somebody can dial right into and go, you know what, I want to know more about managing overtime. All right, here's 2 or 3 different talks on how do I manage overtime with my guys, or what numbers do I look at every day to know if I'm sinking or if I'm swimming. So that's kind of a brief overview. And the backside of that would be something to never take for granted, which is the network itself of 900 contractors is phenomenal. I mean, we bring a ton of value ourselves, but honestly, I mean, the talks that people have on break at our events, or the conference calls they have, just several members getting together once a month, or we have group specific private Facebook pages that people can get on and ask questions, and they'll get 30 answers from all of our different members. That alone is worth ridiculous amounts of money. Or value, I should say, over money. But I had one guy last month. I hooked him up with one of our other members and said, "Man, you guys should just chat every once in a while." And so he was talking to him, and one guy gave him a tip about his suppliers, and he said, "Well, I'll check it out. It's probably nothing." And he went to his suppliers, and the tip paid off, so to speak. And I said, "Man, Russ," I said, how much was that tip worth to you? Like, if you just projected out a year of sales for your company, about how much was that one 60-second, 30-second, or whatever phone call worth to you?" And he was like, "That's a great question." He said, "It'll probably net me about $150,000 in my pocket." I asked for where my cut was. I was like, "Man, come on, like, you got to give me a little bit of that at some point in time." But it's just neat how that was that topic that they talked about, and where that 150 grand came from. It was really outside of what we would normally consult somebody with. It had nothing to do with anything in our business model or plan, but because of the networking that these guys do, they're sharing best practices, and it pays off big time.
Absolutely. No, like I said, we can't say enough good things about SGI, and I want to dive a little bit down into that, partnership that we have here in a minute. But yeah, one thing that's kind of top of mind for me, and I think you probably run into this a lot, is there's a couple kind of contractors. One, hey, I'm kind of new. My business is a little smaller. SGI is probably for me, but probably not now. Probably, a few years down the road, once we've grown a little bit bigger, become a little more established. And then I think there's probably the other end of the spectrum where it's, man, we're well established. We're really large. Is there a specific type of company that fits well for SGI, or if I'm open to growing, SGI is for me?
Yeah, so we can go 2 different directions there. One would be, like you said, a startup. If I was to start up a company tomorrow, I would have to raise capital to start up a company, right? I'd need to buy tools, van, have my bank account, my electric bill, and everything else. SGI would be part of my startup just because it's comfortable for me, and I know how well it worked. And it was something that I was able to train managers and put it in their hands. And I was an absentee owner for several years, 3 or 4, almost 5 years. So for me, on the startup side of things, it would be a first thing I did. However, it all comes down to what kind of personality you as the owner of a company has. We're not all the same. We're not all going to fit in the same mold. Some of us might take 10 years to build a business. Some of us might do it in 6 months, and that's okay. The trick is finding what's right for you and what works for you. Because if you find somebody that, let's say you're a guy that, you know what, honestly, it's all very overwhelming. Implementing new things, making change. You didn't go raise $300,000 to start your business. You're doing it bootstraps. Like, you know what? And you're funded by, the second mortgage you took out on your house or whatever it is. Maybe that's not for you. Maybe you need to be a little bit slower growth. If we were to put everything on you and you were trying to keep up with this guy over here that's growing really fast, it's not really fair to you. That might be better for him. Maybe he's got a rich uncle. Maybe he's done this 10 times before. So, us as Americans are really good at that comparison game. We look at Instagram and Facebook and everything else and we go, oh man, they've gone to Disney 3 times this year. I'm a bad dad. It doesn't make you a bad dad, right? So it doesn't make you a bad business owner if maybe you're not able to start up right out of the gate and do this. That said, anybody that's got the ability or maybe has the ability to hand some of these things off to implement these things, somebody in the office, a wife at home that answers the phone or whatever, you can make very good headway and start off on the right foot. Most of the companies that come into SGI are existing companies. They're in the service and replacement and maintenance business, or they want to be. So we're not going to teach you how to run a great commercial business doing commercial work, and we're definitely not going to try to tell you that you can go make amazing money and great margins and collect all your money in new construction, because we firmly believe it's not for everybody, and it's not your best use of time as far as profit dollars versus how many hours you spend a day working. So we're primarily looking for that company that is or wants to launch a service and repair and replacement business in any of those trades: electrical, plumbing, HVAC, or roofing. So we have guys that come in that are established. They've been doing service calls for years. They know what that looks like, but maybe they're not priced right. Maybe their vans don't look very good. Maybe their guys don't wear uniforms. They're in muddy jeans, and all these different things that we help out with. Or we have guys come in that are doing, 12, 15, 20, $30 million in commercial work, but they want to launch this residential side and they don't know where to start, because it's a different, it's baseball to football. Both are physical sports, but the rules are very, very different. Right. So really it's service and repair, replacement. And then as far as size of company, really all along the spectrum. We have guys from $500,000 all the way up to $100 million. So there's really no cap and there's really no lowest point. It would really just be, do you as the owner have the margin, the time, and the expertise to be able to implement some things when you're smaller and you can't delegate everything? How many hats do you have on, right? So,
absolutely. No, I think that's a great answer. I'm in a ton of Facebook groups and things that I work with contractors and talk to contractors and just see contractors interact. Yep. And I think CRM, which you guys obviously aren't, but yep. I see people talk about CRMs all the time, and I almost have the analogy of that with you guys when I think about SGI, and it's, man, the CRM didn't work for me. I would say the same is probably true with SGI. No, your CRM is not going to work if you don't use your CRM. If you don't understand what your CRM can do for you and implement it and do the things, it's great that you went out and you bought it. Would that be kind of the same for SGI? It's great I got my membership, but if I'm not taking anything and implementing anything in my company, SGI is probably not going to. Yeah.
And it's funny because we have that all the time. And, what's cool for myself is that I was a member, right? So I remember my first conference call. I remember my first expo. I remember sitting there in expo kind of going, man, I don't know if that's really going to work in my area. And then I remember getting called out like, look, this stuff works in everybody's area. Like if you're going to be full of excuses, just quit now. But it's funny. I'm getting ready to go do a site visit I guess actually it's next week. And this guy is a $12 million contractor. He's mostly in insurance work. So he's really trying to launch a retail division that insurance companies aren't paying the bill for. He's been a member for I think 3 years and hasn't done anything with it. And he called me about 6 or 8 months ago, and he said, man, I've almost got to repent. Like, I've been a member for all these years. You've reached out a couple times, and I haven't done anything. Hey, we're doing it. And he's been at our last 2 expos. He's had me out to his shop. This will be the second time. And he's really trying to launch really in a wise way. He has the capital. So he's trying to build the entire foundation for what this retail business is going to look like and launch it off of his insurance business. And then you have guys that join day one and they're in it. And, they might only be him and his wife, but the wife is super high functioning and she's got 12 irons in the fire and she's, fixing the van image over here and she's ordering uniforms and she's, got a call center set up and she's getting her scripts for how she answers the phone and they're getting straightforward pricing guides done so they can price things with the homeowner and they're doing 100 things at once. When I joined, we were doing about a couple million a year. We had a couple different call takers and then one lady that was kind of my office manager. So I was able to delegate a lot of those things out and then take on all the things that were GM things for me. So yeah, it's like a gym membership. I joined one time and I thought it was the best thing in the world. I think I told you the story. I thought it was the best thing in the world. My wife always went to the gym and I was like, girl, I'm going to start going with you. I got extra time. I'm an absentee owner. I'm going to start getting in shape. And she knew this guy at the gym and this guy was a house. He wouldn't even fit on this couch with me. And just from shoulder to shoulder, he was gigantic and a big muscle-bound guy. And he was a personal trainer. So I'm feeling good. He brings me in and he does all these reps of these 4 different things. And every time he added more weight, more weight, and more weight. And I mean, honestly, I was trying to suck it up and like just hang with him because I'm pretty good at that. I can push through pretty well on things. And I ended up in the bathroom and I thought I had the flu. Like I thought typhoid fever had just come through the gym and I was just sweating all over the place. And that was the last time I went. I walked out and I said, man, thanks. I'm just not this vain. I don't need to look any better. I never went back, but I paid for the membership every month and I didn't look any better at the end of that year. Right. So yeah, you gotta keep using it.
Absolutely. So we did get one question here from Jake Dempsey and I think it's a great one. And he wants to know, how does technology play in helping companies move forward and kind of get in line with the concepts that you guys are teaching with SGI? Obviously lots of different forms of technology that are used out there, but how important as a whole is that?
Yeah, so I think there's several different avenues there, and I'm careful with some of it, and I'll get to that. But I think technology plays a huge part in ease of use, right? I mean, gone are the days of a ton of paperwork where there's also a second person having to enter all of those into a CRM. I'm big on reports. So I want to be able to pull a report and go, okay, this tech's doing great. This salesperson's doing great. Okay, I need to coach this person. Looks like his average ticket's good, but his closing percentage is down. And it looks like it's all on the marketed lead. So I need to coach this guy. So I love information. I love being able to get those reports out. And without really good information in, you're just going to get garbage out. So I believe technology, being able to go paperless, so to speak, while at somebody's home in certain ways is really good. I love Companycam in that you can just record everything. When I used to do jobs before I kind of got out of the field and was more, running the company, I was big on notes. So yellow pad of paper, lots of notes. Don't let the dog out of the back laundry room. Make sure you do this. Clean the laundry room extra good so that the lady, thinks, man, my laundry room's never been this clean. Like I was big on a ton of notes, drawing sketches. I would have used the heck out of Companycam because of the being able to take a picture, put my voice over it, or draw pictures or whatever. Don't use this gate, whatever the situation was. So I think that's a no-brainer, especially with cloud storage being included in the app. It's a no-brainer for me. I get tired of buying cloud storage from Apple, quite frankly. But where I would really caution would be that we let it take over the personal experience. At the end of the day, you're still a human that has a story. You have a background. You went to a certain high school. You were raised a certain way. You have this kind of dog at home. You've been married this many years. You got a kid that's in football, whatever. Those are the things that lead. That's what I buy from. I don't buy from like an iPad that has a really cool presentation and I can see this thing and I can flip through on my own and see your guarantees and warranties and then click buy at the end. I might do that for coffee. But even then, I mean, you go to some coffee shops that are super vibey and then they just flip this iPad over to you. And it's kind of like, it's almost like your brain kind of goes, oh, personal, vibey, awesome community type of area and technology. And you're immediately, that person flips the iPad around, they turn around and go make your coffee and your personal interaction is done. And I think just as humans, we're starting to hunger for that more. So I would say technology needs to augment. It needs to augment, and hear me. It needs to add to your presentation. But if it's taking it away, if we're trying to automate the experience so we can get to the next call, or because maybe we don't like to really practice scrimmaging, like, role playing, how an objection. So we would rather like a presentation do all of it for us. Careful, because I'm going to walk into that sales call with a yellow pad of paper and outsell you 10 times out of 1, just because I'm me and because I have a blue pen and because I can feel and watch the feedback from my homeowners that I'm dealing with. So augment, don't automate. And as far as getting technicians to do it in the field so I get the information back, man, I would use whatever technology I could to make sure my guys are doing it. Because let's face it, us guys are really bad at doing paperwork most of the time.
Now, I think that's a great answer. And myself, I'm not a contractor, but I own a home, and people come to my house and they do things for me, and I've got to, I'm going to get 2 quotes for this or 3 for that. And I think you hit the nail on the head. You've got to connect with them on a personal level, build that level of trust, and then if you do augment correctly, you take your professionalism to another level. It's, man, I trust this person that I can have a conversation with them. Tell them about my family. But, man, now this guy's he's got Companycam, he's got this CRM. Things are just flying in. All right, this is where I need to go. It just, it takes your level of work, I think, to another level also.
That's a good point. Yep, for sure.
So, big question here. You were in the field prior to probably Companycam's existence, got out of the field. How important would that Companycam be to you as a business owner, being able to have that transparency where, it's great to be transparent with the homeowner, but having that transparency across your business, how important is that in what you guys teach at SGI?
Yeah, one of the worst things, the last time I ran a company was 2 years ago in Southern California. I had 38 installers. This was an HVAC company. 38 installers, 15 salespeople, and 39 technicians, I think, if I remember right. And obviously, I couldn't even be at one of their places, one of their calls, right? I'm in the office. So I had 3 ops managers underneath me, an install manager, a sales manager, and everything else. But constant were the phone calls, constant were the text messages, or not so constant. So if I were to use that today, let's say I went back to that business 1.5 years ago, 2 years ago, and put that into place, my installers would all have it, my lead installers, my technicians would, and I would expect to see pictures at certain time periods during the day. So if they're installing, as soon as they show up to the house, I want front of the house, van parked in front of the house. I want picture of the floor when they come in. I want pictures of the attic access. I want pictures of the unit on the backside and everything else. And I would have had 2 or 3 screens in my office that would have literally given me a scrolling view of every install job that was going on right then, every service call that somebody was on, and I would have been able to look at things and gone, oh, hey, dude, don't forget to move that unit over 4 feet to the right because that electric panel is going to be in the way if you don't, and we won't pass inspection. That would be absolutely amazing to be in basically 60, 70, 80 places at once just by watching that. My install coordinator could have been watching the installers. My sales manager could have been watching what was coming in on the sales. And just those little things, you're able to mentor guys better. You're able to coach them better. I mean, if I've got a salesperson and he takes a picture of something, and in that picture I notice old rusty registers, or I notice, the thermostat's on the outside wall, or I notice the thermostat's a foot away from the return grill, I can literally go, hey, during your presentation, don't forget to mention moving that thermostat because it's too close to the return. It could get a draft and not exactly sample the right temperature in the house. I bet you nobody else that's going to stop by his house is going to talk about it. And that could mean, 1, he gets the job. 2, he's just that much smarter the next time he goes to the next job. So I think it could have been a ridiculous training tool for us, as well as making sure we pass inspection more often, as well as closing more jobs on the sales end.
Absolutely. The training aspect of it too. Like, obviously when we're selling Companycam, we hit on the closing jobs, those things. Okay. I love the angle of that training aspect where, you're able to teach your guys on the fly without actually having to be there with them. I think that's a lot. As far as SGI goes, we're kind of running. I mean, this has been a great conversation. It doesn't seem like we've been talking that long. We're kind of heading up to the hour here. I want to make sure people that aren't familiar with SGI I personally believe in it. If I were to start a roofing company today, I know I need Companycam. I'm joining SGI. Those are tools, in my opinion, that I'm going to see a return on those tools. They're going to make me money, in my opinion. How do I join SGI, or what would be the step? I've heard a few things about it. They think you're an awesome guy to talk to or listen to. How do I go about that next step? What do I do?
I mean, it's pretty typical. Go to our website, yoursgi.com, and take a look at there, fish around there a little bit. You'll end up being able to talk to somebody, and they'll say, "Hey, come to a profit day." I mean, we don't do this thing where we go, "Man, let me get you on the phone and try to sign you up." And I mean, we're just not that way. We would rather get you to a profit day, and we have them all over the country almost every day of the year. I mean, we have a sales team that's been with us for 15 years that I know of, because I remember going and speaking at profit days almost 15 years ago for them, telling them how I was doing in my business. But they travel all over the country nonstop and have these profit days, and there'll be electricians in there, plumbers in there, HVAC guys in there, roofers in there. They buy a nice steak lunch, which is one of the things that got me to go back then. I was like, shoot, man, I'm gonna get a free steak out of it at least, right? And but that's your best bet, is to look for a profit day. If they have I'm not sure if they have the dates on the website. If they don't, call into somebody, chat into somebody. You're welcome to email me as well, jdean@yoursgi.com. That's jdean@yoursgi.com. And I don't mind any question you have to throw at me, throw it my direction. Again, I kind of get I'm the only coach really that's been a member, and then also had all 4 different trades. So I was able to see so much of it as a client, and then obviously so much of it now as a coach. And so much so that honestly, I have a lot going on in current life, but I hang on to this because I feel like it's almost part of my calling to help people out there, like probably guys that are watching right now going, man, payroll's due, and this guy over here won't collect, and I just can never get ahead. And, I got kids growing up that I never get to see. And I mean, I joined in 04, and by 09, I was an absentee owner, and I spent most every day with my wife and kids doing whatever the heck it was we wanted to for years. And that would have never happened if I was still fumbling around trying to figure out, how to get payroll paid for, or how to get XYZ builder to pay me, or whatever else. So in a few short years, in 1 year, we had a 17.5% flip in profit. So I'll just throw that out there. We were losing 0.5%. And the next year we were at 17% net on 2 million, which is a huge turnaround. But within 5 years, I'd learned how to train, hire and train managers and manage managers, which is I'd never managed managers before. So, it became that absentee owner. But go on the website, yoursgi.com, or shoot me an email, jdean@yoursgi.com. And any question you have, I'm open book.
Awesome. And I know you guys have some quarterly rebates and stuff, and I know through Companycam, if you're using Companycam and start using or joining in SGI or vice versa, we got that deal there as well. So let Companycam know. Reach out to Jared if you want to join. Definitely would check it out. When is the next partner jam? Is that in April?
Next partner jam's in April, which is a party. I love that. It should be partner party. I'm gonna talk to Kevin about that. It's more than a jam, I think. But yeah, that's at our event that we hold twice a year. It's always Thursday night, and we'll have 1,000 people in the room plus vendors, so 1,400 or so, 1,300 people in the room. And those are exhibits for every vendor to just kind of break down what they do, from Companycam to air conditioning manufacturers to you name it, advertising agencies, insurance agencies, truck wraps, uniform guys, and obviously all of those partnerships that we have feature a rebate back to our members. So you could be buying something right now as a non-member, join SGI, and 2 weeks from now you're actually getting a rebate back from stuff that you're already buying. And so some of our guys pay their entire membership plus a lot, just so you know, just by the rebates that they get through our network, which is amazing. I know I did. I never really paid for my membership. It was always well taken care of by my rebates.
Awesome. Yeah. Awesome. Well, we just got our topic in, or getting our topic in today to present here at one of the upcoming jams. And definitely appreciate you jumping on with us.
You bet.
I think this was great. We'll be back this spring, and maybe even have you back on, because I think we could keep talking for a good amount of time here. So I appreciate you joining us today, Jared, and we'll see you down the road.
Hey, good luck with the Chiefs, man. It's a hard life. Okay.
Hey, have a good one. You got our backup quarterback, so
That's right.
we sent him over to Washington. So
Thanks.
yeah,
All right,
good luck, and we'll see you down the road, man.
All right, sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.